All right. Bungie has just issued a news statement admitting that there is a massive flaw within their RNG systems in Destiny 2. Now, this should come as no surprise to anyone that's a subscriber of the channel because we've covered 2 videos about this, going over the deep and detailed data, but Bungie is now admitting to it and talking about how they're going to be pushing an update very, very soon. If you haven't seen the 2 previous videos, I'll give you a quick TLDR so that way you can understand what we're talking about. Right now in Destiny 2, whenever you get a legendary weapon, you get random perks on it. And it would seem as though it's completely random which perks land in which slot. However, the data has shown from the API from third-party sites that for whatever crazy reason, certain perk combinations are dropping at a much higher percentage than other perk combinations. Now, initially people said, this is Bungie doing a terrible thing. Bungie has malicious intent, and they're basically trying to force people to play the game more because they're making the god rolls drop at a significantly lower percentage. Now, I need to be clear, the data does not support that theory or that idea, so a lot of people have been, getting very angry at Bungie, saying that this is intentional, that Bungie is trying to make you play the game more. The data doesn't support that at this point in time. I know some people will continue to believe that no matter what I say here in this video, but that's where we're at right now. But Bungie did admit to this right now, so I want to go in and talk a little bit about what they said, and that way we can fully finalize this discussion. In fact, they're going to come out with a massive blog article explaining it even more. Let's go ahead and jump into it. The Destiny 2 team on Twitter says, "Our team has been working through community source data and internal simulations to reproduce reported issues regarding legendary weapon perk RNG. After investigation, we can confirm an issue has been found in our code where some random perk combinations are harder to earn per legendary weapon perk set." Ta-da! I mean, that's the data that we found with light.gg and these other third-party sites. We have, in some cases, desirable perk combinations are a bit easier to earn as well, which is what the data says. Like, sometimes the god roll was easier to get because it was for some reason weighted that way due to the sort of RNG generator engine being bugged and for some reason pairing things together. And then they said, while we inspected our content and confirmed each perk is weighted equally, an issue in perk pool RNG is the culprit here. There's a flaw in their RNG system. It's not just, it needs to be like democratically, like equally distributing all the perks evenly rather than sort of weighting that in some sort of bizarre way. I don't understand why that would happen. And it's super frustrating to think about how some of those god rolls that you're chasing for, the chances were even slimmer than you realize. You would think like, oh, if there's 6 perks in the left column and 6 perks in the right column, then my chances are pretty good. But if it's actually weighted against the exact god roll you're looking for, then your chances are way worse. It's almost the equivalent of having like 30 perks in the left column and 30 perks in the right column, like effectively, right? If it's weighted against the exact roll you're looking for. That's super frustrating. Bungie might actually have to come out with a proper and formal apology here for this, because this is a big issue. Obviously, this doesn't affect crafted weapons. And crafted weapons have their own problem in Destiny 2 where you have to chase for them and they're just kind of time sync rather than RNG. But let's go on to the next part here. We have, our team has quickly identified a potential solution to the issue, and we are rapidly working to validate the fix. So obviously Bungie, they have to put a stop to absolutely everything in the game right now. If the way that the loot is delivered to players, if that trust is broken and people feel like they shouldn't really invest their time into grinding the game, then that really negates everyone's motivation to play Destiny 2, and that's really going to hurt the community sentiment overall, especially towards Bungie, especially towards grinding in a game like Destiny 2, where Destiny 2 is a looter shooter game. The loot means everything. Tell me right now in the comment section below, how many items do you have in your vault? It can hold up to 700 items. That's your most prized possession, is all those items that you've grinded for in the vault. And some of those items, it took you way too many runs of that Grandmaster. It took you way too many runs of that raid that you did. Way too many flawless attempts to finally get that exact weapon you're looking for, that armor piece you're looking for, etc. And now we actually have an issue of, is the RNG completely equal across the board for all perks on these weapons? The last part they mentioned is we are aiming to address this as soon as possible, and we'll share a planned hotfix date when available, which is so appropriate. I mean, truly, this needs to be solved immediately, because people are thinking to themselves like, I don't even want to grind for these god rolls until I know that I actually stand a fair chance of getting them, right? Like, this is a big issue, a way big issue in Destiny 2. And they actually go on to have a second response to this as well, where they said, can we get a deeper breakdown of the issue is a question. They said, "We'd love to. For right now, we're focusing on fixing up the issue and getting it out to you. Afterwards, we'll be sitting down with the team to discuss all the nitty-gritty details, so we will get a future detailed update from Bungie as to exactly just how flawed the system was, as to exactly why it happened this way." I actually commented on this saying, I appreciate the transparency, but, could you give us some free god rolls as compensation? Let me know if you agree with that down in the comments below. Obviously, I'm just poking a little bit of fun towards the situation, but overall, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions about this, because I know so many people have commented on my past 2 videos where we talked about this issue, where they said, yeah, I was kind of getting that feeling when I was grinding insert some weapon that you were chasing after, and that sort of led to your lack of motivation to play Destiny 2. A lot of people feel that sentiment, and they said that they grind the game a little too hard and they never get the exact role of the weapon they want. Then they just move on from the game and play something else, maybe play something else in Destiny 2, or leave the game altogether, which is why Bungie actually introduced crafting in the first place, because making all of the weapons completely random RNG didn't really have a good feel to it. People wanted to have some sort of guarantee that their time invested was worth the time investment and that they would get something to show for it. So that's why they created crafted weapons. However, fast forward, Bungie went a little too far into the crafted weapon territory, and then the game just becomes way too cookie cutter, copy and paste, and there's really no spice, there's no flavor to grinding the game. There's no like excitement level when you complete an activity, because if everyone's just going after crafted weapons and weapons that have, set perks in them, then there's no like chance of getting something extremely rare, that chance of a god roll that we so loved before inside Destiny 1 and in Destiny 2. But this really puts a whole new spin, a whole new twist on the grind in Destiny 2, in my opinion. After chasing for all these god rolls all these years, I can't help but feel like, man, how many times was I robbed because the perks were weighted poorly? How many times did I grind that Grandmaster and I probably should have gotten the god roll by statistics, but instead I didn't because the exact god roll I was looking for was weighted against me, man. I'm sitting here thinking like, what have I been doing? I've been spending all this time. I almost want to know I want to know for certain that when Bungie fixes this, that anytime I grind a weapon, that I have an exact equal chance of either getting the god roll or not getting the god roll, and that transparency is right there. So that way I know if I'm going to invest my time for this god roll hand cannon, shotgun, pulse rifle, whatever it may be, I would just want to know that I actually, if I have bad luck, I have my own bad luck and that it's not weighted against me in some way. And I don't know, this is going to be a really big issue, I think, for a lot of players overall in Destiny 2. I think a lot of people are really, this might be the last straw for some people. This is really frustrating, but hopefully Bungie can put this fix in, implement it, and maybe there can be some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe people will be more excited about grinding, knowing that everything is fixed and balanced now in the future. Maybe Bungie can make some sort of compensation for this. I don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, this is definitely a nightmare issue for Destiny 2, especially when you have such an integral core part of the game, the loot being diminished. The value of that loot is definitely a tough issue. So I'll be reading your comments down below. And again, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to stay up to date on all things Destiny 2. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.